Ahoy! I've been a little bit absent. I'm back now. Sorry, I need a bit of a break. But today I want to talk about something very, very interesting, and that is the new gypsum system, which as of today received a very significant update. So what the gypsum system is, it's basically a new way in which you can increase your watermark in order to get higher gear score items. Old systems are still in place and are improved. For example, there's a variety of new ways in which dungeons are meant to increase your watermark or give you other nice things. Basically, you can get watermark increases from a lot more different things now consistently, such as Outpost Rush or from crafting or open world areas. So really it's no longer just relying on the chest farms and whatnot. And as such, there have obviously been a lot of questions surrounding that, and also some concerns and a lot of complaints. And a lot of things have already been announced to be changed based on that. Like, for example, that the cost will be drastically reduced. But now we have some, well, more sweeping changes, I would say, that have been announced as of today and that I wanted to talk about. So what is going to happen now is that there will be certain parts of gear that are exempt from the expertise level. So they are basically always going to roll at, or they're going to exist at the gear score that you received or made them at. And that's any item you craft yourself, any item you earn from a quest, and any item you purchase from the faction shop. So it very much sounds like if somebody else crafts an item for you, then there may be watermark decreases. Now, how does this all work? Basically, in this next update, part of the system will not even be included yet, but their plan was to, around January, make it so that if you, for example, buy gear from the trading post at 600 gear score, but you're way lower than 600 gear score in your watermark, you may be a fresh level 60 and your watermark is around 500, that gear would be downscaled. It would still keep the same effects as a legendary, for example, which is still extremely strong. It would just be downscaled to, well, initially the announcement was basically the watermark or the expertise that you have at the time. Now a lot of things about that have also further changed. So the scaling, as it says here, will only apply to items sold and traded after that patch. However, there should also be further changes to that. I'm just gonna make sure that I find the right part where they mention that. So basically, why they're doing this is that they want crafting to remain important, and you want to make sure that in a way you're not forced to do the watermark grind in one way only, but you also get watermark increases from crafting, by the way. So it's probably one of the slower ways to do it, but it's not like you won't ever get watermark increases if you purely focus on crafting. So I'm trying to see where further down this article is. Here, there we go. So basically what they're doing now, instead of reducing the gear score of a high gear score item that you buy completely, is that there's kind of a meet in the middle solution here. So if your musket expertise is 520 and you buy a 600 gear score musket off the market, your effective gear score will be 560. But you also get to use all perks. So really you just get a minor stat and damage reduction. This is something that, if you look at how the damage on weapons especially works, is actually incredibly minor. I think the damage difference between level or like a 500 gear score and 600 gear score weapon is roughly 15%, if I recall correctly. And well, if you still keep the same stats and you still keep the same perks, so a legendary weapon would still have all of its perks, then you're really not losing that much. I feel like they're almost a little bit too lenient with that system now, because it doesn't really, well, it's still very rewarding to just buy all of your gear instead of doing anything else for it. But I guess that is just a result of the backlash, and it may just shift a little bit more, maybe at a later point, we'll see, or they will just handle it slightly differently from the first gear score increase past 600 going forward. I'll see. But there are also additional other things that have been changed surrounding that. So the cost to craft a gypsum orb has been reduced to 2.5 coins from 100. and the gypsum cast itself costs 5 coins instead of 475. So it's basically almost free to craft. They said they want to make it so that endgame territories get, or like territory owners get a little bit of money, but let's be real, the sum here is probably going to be very insignificant comparatively, especially when people can only craft this like 7 times a day with the current limiters maximum, and most will likely be less. But I am happy that they chose this route. I think if you already farmed something, you shouldn't have to pay a massive amount to craft with what you have farmed. So I'm happy they listened to the community there, and watermark increases will not cost large amounts of gold. They also changed the topaz gypsum to be daily instead of weekly, or topaz, and reduced the crafting ingredients to make it less difficult to craft. This was the one that basically allows you to solo farm it from mobs, and now you can do that one daily as well, because I think this is the one that doesn't actually even require elite mobs, just you have to drink a special potion first to activate it. So probably one of the easiest ways to get an increase. And yeah, that one is now daily as well, like all the others. So that's pretty good in my opinion, because now that's like Outpost Rush, and this one will be a very easy way, and then the other one depend a little bit more on having teammates or being a crafter. But still, should be good. Then the cooldown timer for the gypsum crafting is reduced from 22 hours to 18 hours. So you're not forced to always craft at the same schedule, which is great. And I wish it would be the case for other similar crafts as well, like the mats that you can craft, like Asmo, for example, because those cooldowns always feel a little bit annoying to use, because they kind of shift a little bit later every single day, basically. They say they also want to build a global cooldown system in the future to do this for other daily activities like crafting and faction missions. I'm assuming also something like elite chests, but they'll have to wait until the future because they have to do some critical fixes and the server merges first. But I'm glad that they have acknowledged that as well, and the current annoyance with that. So the expertise bumps have also been worked out a little bit differently. There's a minimum as well as a maximum. Currently, there is no minimum, which can result in a few bad rolls at the start, really demoralizing players. This will also decrease the average bumps needed to get from minimum to maximum expertise. Our goal is an average of around 35. That sounds like a relatively low number. So from 500 to 635 bumps, so like averaging 3 gear score, that's something you get like a lot early on. Like the early bumps are very high, I guess. But later, like if you get to like 580, it's basically usually a bump of 1 or 2, unless you're very, very lucky. And that's been consistent from most of my gear that I've been tracking. So we don't know what the minimum is maximum as well as the maximum is, but like I guess they will announce that with the patch. And one more thing that they did is they moved the gypsum reward from the cache to the events itself, because people have been stockpiling Outpost Rush caches, Corrupted Breach caches, Arena caches, and Aptitude could stockpile Aptitude caches in the future. Just get gypsum without basically having to do an activity on that day, just by opening the cache. So I kind of like that you could hoard them a little bit, but I can see that that could kind of be abused as well. Like, I think it would be great in a way when you know, like, you don't have much time to play for a few days. But then again, I guess they don't really want you to be able to upgrade a lot of your gear if you're not actually actively playing the game. So yeah, we'll see how that part works out. But anyways, it should be much easier to get increases overall. And also it should be much easier to especially get increases on jewelry, since that will not drop in the world, so you can get bumps from that itself, and don't need you to just rely on the gypsum cast for that. So yeah, I think the new announcements here, the changes are mostly good. I'm a little bit concerned with the crafter part. So I absolutely understand that there needs to be an incentive for crafters to do their profession, have value from that, and not be punished for crafting early and not watermark farming. But I know quite a few crafters that have had a field day on the market in the early days, basically, that just heavily invested into trading and crafting, and made a lot of money that way, and were very effective at that, and then were able to craft very good gear very early on, like, close to 600 or 600 gear score, well before most other people were able to. maybe excluding void band, but that I don't really count that because it's just locked 600 gear score. Everyone else who was actually just straight up farming Watermark has reached maximum Watermark much later. There are exploiters, obviously, that reached it very early. There are also people that just absolutely low-knifed Watermark farming and sat at like a boss for days and days and days, and reached it relatively quicker. But even those reached the very high Watermarks way slower than the crafters did. The crafters were by far the fastest ones to be able to reach 600 gear score. And obviously, if you reach it that quickly, there's much less of an incentive to go back and do any Watermark farm because you've already got max gear score. Unless you want to get a specific drop from a dungeon, I guess. And as such, I'm a bit concerned with basically having like not chosen a middle ground for this system, but rather making it so that a crafter can just straight up always get the highest reward. But I guess it's kind of what the community was asking for. What I think needs to happen is once there is a new gear score max level, like say that's like 620 or 700 or whatever it may be, maybe with Brimstone Sands, who knows, then there would have to be a change in how the pace of crafting is compared to the pace of Watermark farming, of leveling. I think this new system, the new gypsum system, will kind of resolve that because, again, I think it'll kind of increase the speed of Watermark leveling a little bit from what I can tell so far. And also the changes to crafting XP will likely mean that anything past 200 points will probably take a lot longer to reach. So I'm assuming they're kind of considering that a little bit and balancing it out a little bit more. Because if they don't, then basically the people that play the market early will once again massively win out and basically have best in slot gear or near best in slot gear a month before others. And I think there needs to be some balance surrounding that. But that is something that is possible. That's something that they can most certainly do. They just have to keep an eye on it and take care of it in a way that'll solve it effectively for everyone. But generally speaking, I'm very happy with the system and I'm sure they can work out the kinks. I like it much better than the old system, which was literally just relying on RNG entirely. This more specific increases, along with rewards, like drop rewards that you get for it as well, are much more something that I personally appreciate because it's something we can control better, and I like that. And yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think now that all of these changes have been announced. If you're still on the fence about the system, if you think that maybe there's certain activities that are not getting rewarded enough, and so on, let me know. There will be more videos in the next days. I will talk more about some things related to the update. I will also have a war footage that I want to talk about and I will show a little bit, which I was very happy with. And 0 death, by the way. And yeah, I will be more focused on content creation. Just to quickly explain my absence a little bit more, the company I'm in is very, very hardcore, and we have been grinding very hard in many ways. Trying to win wars on the new patch was extremely hard. We've won a couple now in different ways, but like last one was won today, and that takes a lot of time, especially if you're involved in the organizing part of things. So it made it very hard to make content at the same time, but obviously I have to shift my priorities a little bit again. And yeah, I will also be making a lot more guides soon, a lot of build guides. I have so many builds that I put up for the company, but I might as well put them on YouTube as well and talk about them and explain them. So yeah, that'll be happening too. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. And I hope to see you for the next one soon. Sloth out.